Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's another blessed Friday that we meet here at Horizon TV. My name is Zamzam Ahmed and this is the Muslim Insight, a show that brings to you weekly news updates of stories that matter to you, as well as impactful conversation. Today we have so much lined up for you, but before that, let's get the headlines.
Unajua ukiempower mwanamke, you have empowered the whole community.
Halal Expo, Ishmar Expo Limited and Halal Business Adverts host Halal Expo for halal entrepreneurs.
Mwenye Muislamu kama hata ingia msikiti, sijui niseme nini. Ukiniruhusu nitatandika ingia.
Spiritual development. Machakos GK Prison gets new mosque, marking significant milestone in their spiritual and communal life.
You and I may be exposed to the same stressor, yet we may not both react the same way.
And on Health is Wealth, we look at dementia, a term used for a range of diseases affecting memory and thinking skills.
Thank you so much for choosing Horizon TV this Friday morning of 13th September 2024. Once again, this is the Muslim Insight and my sign language interpreter is Abdul Wahab Ali. Now on to our top stories. Ishmar Halal Expo Limited hosted the 14th edition of its annual expo aimed at empowering micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, in the Nairobi region. The event focused on equipping entrepreneurs with the knowledge and tools necessary to scale their businesses through the use of technology. The forum provided a platform for MSMEs to exchange ideas on leveraging digital technologies to expand market reach, streamline operations, and build a robust online presence. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, SMEs account for approximately 98% of businesses in Kenya, accounting for over 30% of jobs annually. Here's the full report from Mariam Musa, who attended the event.
Ishmar Expo Limited was designed to empower and give training to women in business by transforming their online business to physical business.
Unajua ukiempower mwanamke, you have empowered the whole community. Kwa mfano, mama ukimpatia kile kipaji cha knowledge, yule mama atasaidia family nzima. Tukiangalia statistic, wa mama ni watu wazuri sana wa kusave pesa na ni wazuri sana wa kulipa loans. Wa mama wingi sana hawana arrears za loans. Sasa sisi ndo tumesema wacha tushike umama, tukishika umama atakuwa tumeshika familia nzima.
In an interview with Horizon TV, Hamisi Kiwaka, the CEO of Ishmar Expo Limited, said the program aims at giving mentorship to young people and directives on how to run a successful business.
Ile changamoto ambao sasa tuko nao ni namna gani sisi kama kampuni tutaweza kuidentify wale wanabiashara wengine wadogo ambao kufikia sasa hawajajua umuhimu wa hizi exhibition, kwa sababu hizi exhibition zinawapatia wao wanabiashara fursa ya kufanya networking, ya kufanya marketing ya product zao, na pia kujua mbinu zaidi za kufanya biashara kulingana na ile hali ya kutangamana na wanabiashara wengine.
He noted that the Halal Expo allowed entrepreneurs and vendors to exhibit their products and services that meet Islamic standards, fostering community networking and marketing opportunities for small businesses.
Tuko hapa kuleta biashara ambazo zinazingatia ile uhalali. Uhalali ni kwamba vitu kama vileo, pombe na vinginevyo ambavyo vinahusiana na pombe ndivyo haviruhusiwi.
We want to nurture this woman. Tujue anafanya biashara yake anaifanya vipi. Unaweza kuta sisi wa mama tuna udhaifu fulani na huwa ni nature yetu. Tunachukua pesa za mzee wetu ametupa za chakula, tunachanganya na biashara.
Food items is one of the best things that people are coming out to do shopping for. The last time we did something like this, we really make a good sales because the price is very good, it's affordable.
Elsewhere, halal business adverts played host at a vibrant halal expo on Sunday at Kongoni Secondary School in South Sea with an aim of showcasing a wide range of Muslim brands and business.
Always my pleasure to be at these halal expos. I'm the founder of Tijara Duka. We do Islamic themed gifts. So what we realized was there was a gap in the market. When we're looking for Islamic gifts, most of them are from out of the country, or they might not have necessarily the Islamic message. So we are trying to fill that gap, inshallah.
Niko na boutique ambayo inaitwa Huri's Collection kwa zaidi ya miaka 10. I'm based in Mombasa. Nimefuata hii halal expo so that niweze kudisplay vitu vangu hapa na kujulikana na watu wa Nairobi at the same time.
This is the second expo we are making an appearance in, and it was really humbling and energizing to see the amount of effort being put to empower our female Muslim compatriots, because you can see the major of the exhibitors are our women, and we are always viewed as a community that inhibits the independence of our women. So this is a deliberate effort being made to empower them, to provide them space, safe space for them to do their business. So we welcome all of you to come and engage by buying their commodities and also give them the moral support.
The turnout is amazing. We have gotten a chance to interact with so many people, with different businesses, different companies, showcasing their business.
Reporting for Muslim Insight, my name is Mariam Sa.
Mashallah, what a beautiful story from our reporter Mariam Sa. Thank you so much, Mariam Sa, for that report. Now moving on, Muslim community within Machakos GK prison, who include Muslim inmates, prison warders and their families, have good reason to smile and celebrate following the completion and official opening of the mosque. The mosque, which was commissioned by the Deputy Commissioner General Nicholas Maswai, aims to help members of the prison as well as the community. Yusuf Okeke has more details.
Speaking during the event, Deputy Commissioner General of Prisons, Nicholas Maswai, announced that the Kenya Prison Service will provide land for religious institutions and called for donors' support. He emphasized the importance of spiritual development in prison reform and directed all prisons to allocate land for mosques and churches.
Serikali yatambua uwepo wa dini ya Kiislamu katika magereza yetu, na kwamba kwa wakati wote tunapopata mfadhili tuko tayari kupeana sehemu ya kujenga msikiti pamoja na madrasa kwa minajili ya wafungwa na maofisa wetu wa magereza pamoja na watoto wao.
Chief Malim of the Kenya prisons, Sheikh Abbas Makter, highlighted the significance of Masjid Yusuf, describing it as not just a place for daily prayers, but also a community center for prison staff and Muslim inmates.
I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to everyone who contributed to the establishment of this mosque. Your efforts are not just a service to the Muslim community, but to humanity as a whole.
He pledged full support to ensure the mosque promotes rehabilitation effectively. On his side, Sheikh Juma Amir, the Director of Communication from Jamia Mosque Nairobi, urged Muslims to support Islamic projects and welfare initiatives. He advocated for educational centers like madrasas within prisons to strengthen the inmate spiritual resilience.
Msikiti huu, eneo hili inshallah tuwe na primary schools zetu, tuwe na secondary schools zetu, kwa sababu hayo ndiyo ambayo tunataka kuyapeleka. Tupate katika eneo hili pia vyuo vyetu vya dini, vyuo vyetu vya kheri, vyuo vyetu na kadhalika.
Kupitia komiti ya kila msikiti, ruhusa inapeanwa muweze kukuwa na walimu wa kufundisha madrasa, ili tuweze watoto wetu waweze kupata msingi mwema wa mafunzo ya kiroho wanapokuwa wakubwa.
The ceremony also included speeches from Regional Commander Nairobi Region SCGP Ali Athman and other senior officers, emphasizing religious tolerance and support for spiritual initiatives in prisons.
Ewe Mola wetu mwenye rehema, tunashukuru kwa kutujalia fursa ya kushuhudia siku hii njema na tukufu. Tunakuomba ubariki nyumba hii ya ibada iwe ni pahala pa amani, mwangaza wa imani na kitovu cha elimu.
Waislamu maofisa na wale wako within the prison walikuwa wanatembea zaidi ya kilomita 3 kutafuta huduma ya kazi ya Mungu. Kwa sasa ni kama ng'ombe kwa dip, kusukuma na kuingia. Mwenye Muislamu kama hata ingia msikiti, sijui niseme nini. Ukiniruhusu nitatandika ingia.
Katika directorate yangu niko na walimu 230. Kati ya hao 167 ni malims ambao wako uniformed na 63 ni civilians.
Tulipoanza hatukuweza kabisa kufikiria ya kwamba hii kazi itafika kama hapa.
Reporting for the Muslim Insight, my name is Yusuf. Okay.
Mashallah, indeed, there is a reason to smile and celebrate. Thank you so much, Yusuf Okeke, for that beautiful report. Moving on to other stories is that in a strategic move towards fulfilling their loyal customers' demands, PZ Carson's Personal Care has launched a new old range product under its flagship brand, Imperial Leather. According to Silas Ouko, category and brand manager at PZ Carson's, the launch of the new Imperial Leather oud range has been informed by the findings of more than 2-year research, which has established that demand for oud scent products was growing faster in the Muslim community. The launch features the luxurious amber and oud soaps alongside a freshly unveiled lotion, which has already attracted enthusiastic support from its dedicated customer base.
Imperial Leather has been known as that brand which is shrouded in heritage, rich heritage, as well as innovation in the products that we do, in the ranges that we serve our consumers with. With our range of Imperial Leather oud products, we have 2 variants, one called Royal Supreme with cinnamon and clove oils, and another called Sweet Amber with jasmine essence. These products are phenomenal. They're being embraced by the consumer, and we have soaps, lotions and shower gels which the consumers are taking a really nice liking to and a great interest in.
Now switching gears to health story, where recently at the inaugural conference on brain health and dementia hosted by Aga Khan University's Brain and Mind Institute, experts highlighted key factors contributing to dementia's rise, especially in Africa. With the continent's aging population set to triple by 2050, the conference underscores Africa's unique challenges, which includes limited resources, varying healthcare infrastructures, and a critical need for awareness and education. The report was prepared by our very own Kasim Mustafa. Let's take a look.
Dementia, a term used for a range of diseases affecting memory and thinking skills, has become a growing concern worldwide. It impairs a person's ability to remember, solve problems, and carry out daily activities, and primarily affects older people.
As a neuropsychologist, my job is to help people protect their brain health, and so that they can live until they're in their 90s. We all know what that looks like. We know people who are thriving, they're remembering things, we go to them for advice, and we all want to be that older person. So our job is to help you become that older person, but we can't do that unless we know what factors are driving aging.
As dementia progresses, these difficulties worsen, making it increasingly challenging for individuals to manage their everyday lives. The underlying cause of dementia involves damage of brain cells, which disrupts normal brain function, while aging is a major risk factor.
We're very much interested in understanding how the brain ages, and we, there is something as like a biological age, there's a chronological age, there is physiological age, they're all different.
So we're doing imaging through MRIs, which means we put participants in a brain scanner. We take pictures of their brain. We also sample their blood to look for any proteins that could indicate some risk of later developing memory problems. And it's important that we do that here so that we know if the risk factors for aging or dementia are different from in other countries, and that means that we need different treatments.
The other factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, smoking, physical inactivity, and social isolation can increase the risk. Some individuals have rare genetic variants linked to dementia, though researchers are still studying why this occurs in certain people.
Stressors are known to be the key drivers of mental ill health. But the issue is mental ill health itself, like what we are trying to address in this resiliency study, is that you and I may be exposed to the same stressor, yet we may not both react the same way. In other words, I may get depressed and you may not.
To address these issues, experts gathered in Nairobi for a major conference focused on dementia. The event, held at Aga Khan University Brain and Mind Institute, organized in collaboration with Demos Alzheimer's Collaborative DAC and the Nature Conferences. It aimed to address the growing dementia crisis, particularly in Africa.
We want to understand, essentially, what are the factors that influence the brain aging. We all know for a fact that stressors are very detrimental, usually, to your well-being. But everybody responds differently to the stressors. And so what we've done in this study is, in essence, used a stressor of a health-related stressor, cancer diagnosis, which is very stressful both from psychological and from physical perspective. And we want to see how different people react to that sort of an insult, to understand what are the processes that actually make you more resilient and make you more frail.
During the conference, Professor Zul Merali, Director of Brain and Mind Institute at Aga Khan University, stressed the urgent need for the better resources and healthcare infrastructure to manage dementia effectively in Africa.
In this study, in particular, we're using a very powerful stressor, which is cancer. Cancer diagnosis, as you know, not only you feel threatened that your life might be at stake, you feel threatened that you might not be able to live long. You might feel threatened because other people may not see you the way they used to see you before. Threatened because you may not be able to maintain the relationships that you had. Some people may distance from you, things like that. So it's very stressful.
Experts noted that much of the existing research focus on other regions which may not fully apply to African populations. This gap can limit the effectiveness of the treatment for African patients.
We're thinking about therapies and interventions to promote brain health in the African context. We need to think about things that work for Africans. Africans are very community-driven. Africans are very spiritual. I really like what the representative from the directorate mentioned about when treating illness, you don't just treat the body or just the mind, but you treat the spirit as well. And that's so important within the African context.
With Africa's older population expected to triple by 2050, the urgency to address dementia is greater than ever. In sub-Saharan Africa alone, the number of people with dementia is projected to rise from 2.13 million in 2015 to 7.62 million by 2050.
Giving you a treatment that is going to provide curative intent, but it takes away all your testosterone. You are no longer feeling like a man. Just like you're no longer feeling like a woman, when we take away all the estrogens as part of your treatment. That endogenous stress, what does it do to your brain, to your biomarkers, to your MRI? Those are acute phases of stress that we can measure very easily, which is why we decided to use stress, endogenous stress of cancer, as our stressor event for this BMI study.
We're not just doing research that will benefit Africa, but our research is truly global and has a lot of potential to address these issues globally.
All the scientists that are conducting this study are members of the Brain and Mind Institute, promoting, as I said, the brain health, mental health agenda.
The conference also emphasized the role of early detection and lifestyle change in managing dementia by fostering collaboration between African and global researchers aiming to develop a better strategy for dealing with this growing health challenge. Kasim Mustafa for the Muslim Insight.
And that was Health is Wealth, a special segment be prepared by Mustafa Kasim to educate you on the different diseases affecting us and the society at large. And that brings us to the end of our first segment. Remember, don't forget to follow us on our social handles at HorizonTV Kenya. The hashtag is the Muslim Insight. Stay tuned.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Verse of the day.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إن الذين يرمون المحصنات الغافلات المؤمنات لعنوا في الدنيا والآخرة ولهم عذاب عظيم يوم تشهد عليهم ألسنتهم وأيديهم وأرجلهم بما كانوا يعملون يومئذ يوفيهم الله دينهم الحق ويعلمون أن الله هو الحق المبين.
Kuna faida gani twapata tukimjua Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
nabii mwenye ushawishi mkubwa duniani?
Tukizikwa tukitiwa kaburini, tutaulizwa haya maswali matatu: man rabbuk, ma dinuk, man nabiyuk.
Sheikh Jamaluddin anakupa simulizi.
Huwezi kumpenda mtu usiyemjua
na kutambua sunna zake,
lakini ukimjua na ukimtambua Mtume Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mapenzi yako yatazidi.
Ufahamu Rasulullah, familia na maswahaba wake. Tazama sira ya Mtume kila Jumatatu saa 1 jioni kwenye Horizon TV.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون.
Enyi mlioamini, munapoitwa kuhudhuria sala ya Ijumaa, fanyeni haraka kuikimbilia, muache biashara zenu, hilo ni bora ikiwa mwelewa.
Isikilizeni kwa umakinifu khutba ya Ijumaa
ili uzidi kujenga imani yako na kupata faida nyingi ya siku hii.
Coming to you every Friday from Jamia Mosque, Nairobi.
Live on Horizon TV.
Uislamu ni dini yenye mpangilio ulio kamili na taratibu zake humpa fursa kila mja kuifahamu na kuelewa.
Muislamu yoyote lazima achukue jukumu la kuifahamu dini yake. Kuanzia kwenye shahada, ashhadu, nakiri kwa moyo,
kisha usafi wa kimwili.
Hapo ndipo huanza safari ya kumwabudu Mola wake.
Usikose kujiunga nasi kila siku ya Jumamosi live kwenye kipindi Ufahamu Uislamu, ili ujifunze mengi usiyojua kutoka Horizon TV.
Katika kipindi kijacho,
huna maru wa kanu qadatan naqha.
Ishi na hifadhi itikadi yako sahihi ya kumwabudu Mwenyezi Mungu peke yake bila kumshirikisha na jambo lolote. Ndio funguo za janna. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hatoangalia tena kwa yule ambaye amemshirikisha akakutana mwenyewe katika hali ya kwamba ni mushrik, kwamba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kisha ataangalia amali zake, alifanya nini, alisaidia maskini, alisaidia wagonjwa. Ikiwa alikufa katika hali ya kumshirikisha, haya mengine yote hayatoangaliwa.
Tazama ukumbi wa fiqh kwenye Horizon TV.
Halal, haram, sunna, wajib, makruh, mubah,
ili upate kujua ahkam za ibada kwenye Horizon TV.
Kitabu chenye uongofu kilichoteremshwa kwa mpangilio maalum.
Sura ikiitwa Madania inamaanisha iliteremshwa Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam alipokuwa kwa Madina.
Kila sura imepewa jina rasmi na sababu zake za kimsingi.
Inaitwa Suratun Nisa'il Kubra, sura ya wanawake kubwa.
Fahamu sababu za kuteremshwa Qur'an na matukio ya kipekee katika utaratibu huu.
Asema Mwenyezi Mungu wa Nuha, nakumbukeni kisa cha Nuh, tumpomlingania kabla, tukamjibu yale mambo aliyoyaomba, tukawa ni wenye kumwokoa yeye na ahli yake.
Ungana na Profesa Muhammad Salim Badamana katika malengo ya Qur'an kila siku ya Jumapili saa 11 kamili jioni katika Horizon TV. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for staying here with us and welcome back. This is the second segment and today we are going to have the Friday Bulletin Review. But don't forget to follow us on our social handles at HorizonTV Kenya. Remember, the hashtag is the Muslim Insight. And today on the Friday Bulletin Review, I am joined by Salim Charo. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome.
Shukran.
Welcome. How are you feeling this morning?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good.
MashaAllah, that is really amazing. Health, they say health is wealth.
Yeah, true.
MashaAllah. So today we're having this Friday Bulletin Review. And on the front page of the Friday Bulletin, we can see that Hillside in the Russia tragedy, Saudi Arabia expresses condolences. Maybe on your end, we can see that 21 students are dead right now, 19 on the spot and 2 others while receiving treatment. The school accommodates 330 students, whereby 164 are 164 boys and 166 girls. It's the boys' dormitory which was on fire. killing 21 students who are boys. Maybe what's your take on the tragedy?
Number one, I think it's a sad moment for the entire country.
Yeah.
And I think that that was also expressed by our president, because flags are also flying half-mast. And you know, I would also personally like to express my condolences to the families that are bereaved, those who lost their loved ones, and those who are injured during that fire. And also on the other side, you know, we've lost a future of this country because we don't know the number, the 21. I don't know what they would have become. Though that is taqdeer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what he had planned.
Yeah.
But it's a sad moment generally for the country, for the parents, and the entire country at large. Yes.
Okay. You know, sayings are going that the issue was on the Kenyan power. We had a power blackout that night. Could that be the reason as to why there was a fire outbreak?
So really, in most cases, whenever anything happens, you find that people will have their views.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen from the Kenya Power, they said in the area there was no power outage. And, you know, there are a lot that are being said, but it's unfortunate it happened. And, yeah, it's unfortunate that it happened. But what's more important, I think, for such institutions, it's good that they ensure that everything is in order, because we tend to maybe hire cheap labor, and you know, let's say something like wiring and so on and so forth. When there is, you know, sort of what do we call it? When there's cheap labor, we tend to have some, you know, things not being done to perfection or how they should be. So I think it's one of the things that should be put into consideration, and I believe in most learning institutions there is a way, even public works, you know, they have a way that they propose. If it's a dormitory, it should be constructed in a certain manner. You know, the size of the windows, the doors, how it should open from, you know, from outside, but not inside, and so on and so forth, in case of emergency. So I think all these rules and regulations should be adhered to, just in case. So, and, but also, you know, they tend to, let's just say that was qadar, because Kenya Power, you know, has distanced itself, you know, from it. They say in the area there was no power outage. And you'll hear a lot more things which are being said. And I don't think it's good also for people to speculate, you know, a lot of controversies, a lot of, you know, things that, but what they should put into consideration, let them think of what these families are thinking right now.
Going through a report on the social media, you can see that the DCI had his sayings on the issue of the Indarasha tragedy. Maybe if you look at that, we can see that on Wednesday, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba announced that the government will conduct a nationwide inspection of all schools to assess the level of compliance with the guidelines of the safety standards manual for schools. You know, we tend to have, there is a problem. Definitely there is a problem. And for a problem, there is a solution. Could that be the solution to what is happening in the country? Because it's not only in Darasha that there was fire tragedy. We can see that in Isiolo County, 3 schools, Isiolo Girls, Isiolo Boys, and Wami High School. Could that be the solution to conduct a nationwide inspection of all schools?
Yeah, it's good because, you know, this rules and regulation and the safety standard are put there for, you know, for safety itself. And it's good also to be, there should be either sort of annual, you know, review of the safety standards, number one. And secondly, there should be also inspection so that to ensure that all schools or all learning institutions adhere to lay down safety standards. So I think that also could be one of the that could also be one of the reasons that could also assist in protecting our children. And it's also sad because it's not now the first time. We had some years back, and now it's back, and we really don't know. We really have to understand what's really happening in our schools, because if in Endarasha it was a power outage, what of you know, Isiolo girls, Isiolo boys, and you know, the Wami high school in all three in Isiolo. So what was the reason? Was it still a power outage, or it was you know, any other reason? So I think these are some of the things that should also be put into consideration.
Okay, to cut you short, maybe. Definitely we like blame games, and that is something that we cannot avoid as Kenyans, probably. Maybe if the problem is the institution, what could they do? Or if the problem are the students, what could be done to the students?
Yeah, I think there is in fact there is a structure in which issues are handled in all learning institutions, in all levels of learning institutions, because I know there is a students government, where they are able to listen to the concerns of the students, and you know, there is that link between students and teachers. And we in all learning institutions there is also a disciplinary committee or something, whether I got the term right, but all this, because there'll be, at the end of the day, there'll be a blame game. You know, teachers will blame the learners will blame the administration, and so on and so forth. But there is a link, between teachers, learners, and parents. So if there is any concern, there is a way that all these concerns can be relayed to relevant, you know, to those who are involved. So I really don't know. And also coming back to such, if that was a protest, I think that is very expensive. And just to say, because this is how we've been raised, you know, as people. You know, the way we sort out conflict, if we are in a disagreement, we tend to, you know, to end it up in you know, in violence. You know, if a child doesn't listen to the parent, you know, at the end of the day, they'll be violent, you know. And, you know, that's how we've been raised. And so if we do have issues of concern, the other day there were concerns, but there was no way they were being listened to. So they decided, let's go to the street. And we know how it ended up. Now we are talking of schools. If there are concerns in those institutions, you know, rather than sitting down, having a dialogue or discussing the issues, you know, they end up.
Okay, this has been happening years and years. Like, for example, on the research, in 2016, Kenyan authorities documented 130 cases of school burnings related to student unrest. At least 63 arson cases were reported in 2018, according to parliamentary records. And we can see that the 2001 Kianguli secondary school fire in the southern county of Machakos resulted in the deaths of 67 boys, the highest death toll of any school fire in Kenya. 19 were injured. Maybe what could be the solution? Because we are trying to look at the solution on one end, because we're talking about the blame game. We blame the students, we blame the institutions, stakeholders and everybody, but what could be that one solution, general solution that can, we can call it a win-win situation?
A win-win situation is for us to learn to sit down and dialogue, sit down and talk. If we are able to sit down and talk, that will be the solution of any other, and we'll be able to curb such scenarios. Just as I've said, I think it's up to the Ministry of Education and the KCID, KICD, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. They should also put into the curriculum the ways of solving conflicts, and that should be, through dialogue. And another thing, why is it that even our children are violent, and whenever there is an issue, they just, think of solving it through violence? Because it's through what we've seen from our leaders.
Okay.
We do have our political leaders. We've seen, weeks of protests to a point where even children, are told, do not go to school, stay at home, because they are protests. My, I think 5-year-old is aware of maandamano. They can tell you, leo kuna maandamano, whenever they see, they hear a bang, maandamano, and, mention names of, such people. So I think also this now should go the other way around, not bottom up, but it should be top, bottom. Okay. Yeah, so from our leaders, they should learn to have a dialogue, so that we may also learn to have a dialogue in solving our issues.
So that is like saying communication is the key.
True. Okay,
yeah, thank you so much. This is a topic that we cannot finish even if we start discussing today. True. We can never. I think we should switch to other stories. Like, for example, we have the GK prison mosque opens. Deputy Commissioner General of Prisons pledges for land. We heard that there was an opening ceremony to a new mosque at the GK prison in Machakos. And you can see that there is a reason for the people, for the Muslim community around that mosque to celebrate, to smile, because they have a new mosque. This pledge for land, what's your take on that?
Yeah, true. Number one, I think in all government institutions, there should be chaplaincy.
Okay.
Number one, last week we had, now the chief imam in Kenya Police, and that is also shows, the willingness of the government also to address the welfare of Muslim officers within that area. And the other thing is now, the opening of the GKE mosque in Machakos, and also that shows that because the mosque will serve the inmates, I believe, and it will serve the officers, and it will serve the communities around as well. So I think it's also a good thing, and also for them to pledge land, it's also a positive thing. It shows that they've also realized that the solution to the challenges that people are facing is in religion. Yeah, because that's where people, we get back to our Lord, and that's where we find tranquility and solution to our problems. Yeah, and I think we have one in other also forces under the police. Kenya Forest Service they have also allocated a land along Kiambu Road. So I think in the near future they'll also have, they are also going to have a mosque in under Kenya Forest Service in Karura.
So that is called freedom to religion, and that is what the article in
the Constitution definitely, yeah.
Okay. Still on matters of worship.
Yeah.
You can see that on page 3, maintaining a discipline in worship. How do we maintain discipline in worship? Because you might find I might start praying, I might having a habit of praying, and then I tend to cease the prayer. Maybe what could be the discipline in worship? How do I maintain the discipline of worship? Because this is something really affects us most.
Yeah, first of all, the writer, mashallah, I think it's one of the things that he has done a very great job. May Allah reward him and give him knowledge in what he does, and also good health. Number one, going through the article, that Islam is a religion of discipline.
Yeah.
It's a religion of discipline. And maintaining that is what we are required. And because once we are able to maintain the discipline that we've been given by our religion, so definitely this is going to prepare us for our akhirah. So, and that's why you see, you know, how acts of worship have been put in our religion. From pronouncing the Shahada, from praying 5 times in a day, from fasting during the month of Ramadan, you know, giving zakah, and eventually performing Hajj. All this requires sacrifice, and it's a discipline, because you can tell me our schedule is ever busy, but you, as a Muslim, at some point you are required to stop whatever you are doing and go and you know, you go to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is to establish salah. Secondly, during the month of Ramadan, you know, we cannot survive without eating, but we sacrifice from, you know, eating. We sacrifice, you know, a lot of things that we are told not to do during the day of the month of the Ramadan. We do sacrifice. All that is discipline, and at the end of the day, you know, you are hard and you know, wealth or money. You have to set aside a certain percentage to give it to the poor. That's also a discipline, because we are ever in need. You know, if you don't have this, you have this. So I think it's a good thing that, you know, the author came up with this. And it also teaches someone how you can develop this discipline to be able to establish what we are required as a religion.
Okay. You know, we can see that we're trying to look at how we can maintain a discipline in worship. Like if you see this article written by Hamza Hassan, he's giving us a story up there that there was this guy, he named that person Abdullahi, would rise before Fajr down, eat each morning and rush to the masjid to offer prayer. The same case to the Isha. And 5 years later, he found that he would go days, sometimes a whole week, without performing a single prayer. And if I can recall, in a WhatsApp group we had, there was a person who was asking this question. Like, for example, I have an issue of performing my prayers, like on time. I pray Fajr, I pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, every Salah, I don't miss any. But I tend to pray maybe 2 or 3 a day. And we see that these people are considered as kafir. I don't know, maybe you can tell us on that, you can talk about that. The advice this person was given was like, maintain those 3 prayers you are praying, or the 2 prayers you are praying. The moment you are creating that habit, you might tend to increase on the number of prayers. What's your take on that? Is it something that should be considered?
Yeah, okay. One important thing is that we should know when you try to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Iblis made an oath that he'll make sure that he does not go to the hellfire alone. So whenever you try to draw near to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he does his effort to ensure that you do not proceed or you do not prosper. So he'll try by all means to make sure that you do not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way you are required. So he'll just make things out of it. The other thing for such a person, they should put into consideration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in one of the surahs, Fawailun lil muswallin. Wow to those who pray. Meaning those that their prayers are not consistent. And there'll be a punishment for it. You know, because even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, "Udkhulu fi silmi kafa." You get you get into Islam completely. So what does it mean? Even for a person who is trying to advise such a person, at some point, we should be able to balance. Because if I come and tell you, because you don't pray or because you only pray 2 prayers in a day, you will end up in Jahannam, because Allah says, فَوَيْلُ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Okay? Because they don't take their prayers seriously. Sometimes they pray, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they pray on time, sometimes, you know, like that. So if I take that and with that firm stance, you know, definitely we are going to lose this one. And sometimes we try to be lenient. Yeah, I know you are trying now what you are saying. Yeah, you are trying. Okay, can you make sure that you stick to that, but at least try to add the remaining ones. You know, so we should be able to balance between, you know, giving them promises of good tidings, and on the other hand, to also warn them against the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes.
Okay, oh, that's amazing. I want us to go back on page 1. And I know it's a bit early to talk about this, but the earlier the better, right?
Yes.
We can see Jamia Mosque to host Open Day on October 12th. That is a month to come.
Yeah, it's a month from now.
Yeah.
And I think that, okay, it's a good thing that Jamia Mosque has started, because, you know, people had a lot of, you know, wrong information about Islam. And the Open Day gives an opportunity to non-Muslims to come and get to know what Islam means and what is Islam, and also invite them to the masjid. Because people had a lot of wrong information, you know. They will think whenever they will come to the masjid, number one, they are not allowed. Secondly, there are things which are, you know, some weird things, but this proved them wrong. And it has also enabled people whom had never heard of Islam or had never had any interest about Islam to know about Islam, and eventually people were able to convert to Islam or to revert to Islam. So I think it's a good thing, and also in the spirit of interfaith, it also gives us an opportunity for that.
Okay. Yeah. We can see that there are a lot of topics of discussion. Some requires more attention, some requires more time, but due to time I don't think we can do that. Maybe we'd look at the other one. This one go hand in hand with this other one, but let's take a look. We can see overcoming anxiety. How do we overcome anxiety?
Okay, number one, we should know that anxiety is a mental condition.
Yeah.
It's a mental condition, and it needs attention of professions from that area, either a counselor or a trained counselor. Yeah, sometimes not necessarily a trained counselor, but also because I've had this issue of is it psychological first aid, and then eventually there are those who are now experts in that area now, whether they are counselors or psychologists and psychiatrists and so on. So to whatever level. But also, these are some of the things which Islam also dealt with. Yeah, there's a dua for anxiety, and a number of them. I think to an example where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah sallam taught us, he says, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-ham, wal-huzn, wal-ajz, wal-kasl, wal-bukhl, wal-jubn, wa dhala'i dayn, wa ghalabati rijal. All that, you know, they're some of the du'as. And also, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'inul qulub. And also with all that, I think we should also put into consideration what, you know, the author, you know, try to, you know, apply as some of the steps that should be applied to for a person to overcome anxiety.
Okay, is mental health a source of other diseases?
Okay, generally they can be an you know, a symptom that there is an underlying disease.
Okay.
It can be a condition on its own, mental health on its own. It can be also a sign that there is another underlying disease, and so many other things. So I don't think it's something. It's just like headache when you're having a headache. You know, you may have a headache for many reasons.
Yeah.
It may be because you have other underlying diseases. Diseases.
The reason as to why I was saying that this topic of anxiety, in a way, it's go hand in hand with this other one on women and depression. I think, I don't know if you've heard of an ex-NTV reporter by the name Nasibo.
Yes, I've heard.
She's going through a lot right now.
True. And also that's also sad, very sad. And I believe, you know, as Muslim community, we should, you know, look into how we are going to assist her, because you can, at some point she was in her prime, and you know, to find a person in such a situation is very sad. And you know, it's something that you know, as a community we've looked away. You know, because she has a depression, and it has resulted her to be in the situation that she is in. And you know, to you know, listening to her story and what she's going through, wallahi, it's very sad. And I think Muslim community should come in. We do have experts. We have you know, Association of Muslim Counselors and Psychologists. I think they can come into her rescue pro bono. And I know she's also into drugs currently. She's also into drugs. You know, you cannot be in that state and be, you know, drug free. And you know, there are other a lot of other things. I think as Muslim community we should do something, and we should do something, and we save our sister from such.
Okay.
Yes.
As we try to save our sister Nasibo, maybe what could be your advice on matters concerning mental health?
It's let's because also from the definition of World Health Organization, it's a disease like any other.
Yeah.
Because we've gotten to a point when people have mental issues, in most cases they tend, they just take it, unajua nachukulia ni wazimu. You know, that's what we look at. Or if we are to take it from a religious perspective, we say this person is possessed. You know, so they are it's either you are crazy or you are possessed. You've been bewitched or something. You know, so but we should take it as a disease, as a and it's something that can be treated. And because I've seen people who are in such states, and you know, they underwent treatment, and at the end of the day, they are back to normal. So I think it's something that can be done. And as a Muslim community, before we get to rush, let us understand and let us know that this is a condition that can be treated. It's just a condition just like any other. It's malaria, a disease, or whatever. Yes.
Okay. Really sad indeed. I think due to time limitation, we are going to end the show there. Thank you so much, Sheikh, for coming here to put some insight on the Friday Bulletin. And we have so many stories here on the Friday Bulletin Review. If you want to know what is happening in the Muslim community, you want to get to know what is happening around your community, maybe you can take a copy for yourself, the Friday Bulletin today at the Jamia Mosque. There are some topics that requires a full session so that it can sink into your mind, so that you can know what could be the solution and everything. Matters concerning mental health. Until next Friday, same place, same time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.